This is actually my second time recording this video because the audio was broken on the first one, unfortunately. But as the title suggests, this is another client interview, and this is actually why I haven't done as many of these because I keep messing the audio up on it. But Christopher here loses £23, spoiler, in his first 12 weeks, and this was start of the year. Well, not start, yeah, I think start of the year, and he right now is 165, so he's actually lost £50. So
Well, I started at 215 and I'm down to 192. So 23 pounds.
I'm gonna go through his interview. It's important that I do this so that people see client testimonials and understand exactly what it took for these guys to get there, and so you can understand whether or not you're going to be able to get there. I think a lot of people in this industry, in the fitness industry, they just basically take on bodybuilder clients who've been lifting for 10 years and then get them to lose a little bit of fat and then take a few pictures and the testimonial looks great. That's if the testimonial is actually theirs. I like to take pictures, get exercise videos, written testimonials, video interviews, so you can see everything, as much information as possible.
So my habits were kind of in the ballpark, but feeling mostly in the dark. So I would have think
And if you haven't seen one of these videos before, I just break down a little bit of what they're saying, try to give you as much value as possible.
of the food groups that were important, salmon and broccoli and things of that nature, but I had no idea how much of everything I needed. So while I was in the ballpark, I was completely off. And when I was trying my own, uh,
Yeah, so what he's touched on here is a lot of people know what a healthy food is, but in terms of the nutrients that your body needs, in terms of the amount that you need to consume in order to lose fat, that's what people get wrong. And so something like an apple or banana, people say, oh, vitamin C and potassium. But the reality is that a large banana has like 14% RDI for your potassium. That's not a large amount of potassium for the calories, and it hasn't got anything else really. And this is the same as vitamin C for an apple. It's like 9% of your RDI. It's a waste in comparison to other foods. And so that's kind of what he learned here. You can say the same about something like broccoli. It's not the more the better because you start going too high on the broccoli and you're going to notice some gut issues. But broccoli is an incredible source in small amounts for vitamin C and vitamin K.
programs and
And the other thing I should mention also is a lot of my clients will come to me and say, after the first couple of weeks, I'm eating less in calories, but I feel like I'm eating so much more. And that's us putting this to practice, basically.
notifications. It was just not getting any results at all. I would, you know, I was down to 190 at one point, but I had no muscle or strength really. And I just kind of built back up to 215 because I just didn't know how to control my nutrition at all. And what you've shown me is basically I've been eating wrong for probably 2+ decades of my life.
So one thing that we skipped over a little bit there is he mentioned that he was doing his own programming, and a small percentage of people are able to sift through the correct advice or get lucky with the correct advice when it comes to fitness. Sometimes people just lie all over the internet, and because they're in authority positions or they sound confident, we're likely to believe it. Someone like Gary Brecker, for example, saying that nothing strips body fat like cold water immersion is a flat out lie. There's no mental gymnastics you can do to get around that. It's a lie. However, a lot of the time, the fitness advice that you'll see isn't it's not wrong. It's just not in context for you. And so a good example would be quarter squats. Someone like LeBron James will do quarter squats because it'll help with boosting power in your legs to jump higher. And then if you were to look at LeBron James's physique and think that's what I've got to do to look like this, then you would be incorrect. And so we need to craft a plan that follows the correct principles in context for your goals.
So I'm grateful to be on something that is, you know, uh, straight and narrow. I was trying hit for a long time. That my heart sunk a little bit when you're like, hit shit, man. And I'm like, all right, well, this guy's a beast, so I'm gonna listen to what he's saying.
Yeah, so high intensity interval training, I talk a little bit badly on it. There are benefits to high intensity interval training, but you get them all in resistance training, and so it makes it redundant. And it's not just redundant. High intensity interval training is going to come with the downregulation in metabolism. If you overdo it, it's going to come with a potential risk for injury. It's going to zap your central nervous system, and that's the biggest one because we need to be able to recover from training. You'll notice all my clients train 3 days a week maximum, and that's because we want to train really hard, recover, and you're not Olympians, so you can't go high intensity, high volume, high frequency and periodize it perfectly. It's not going to work. Those guys struggle with it anyway. And they're not actually trying to get in shape, they're already in shape. So, again, contextual fitness.
And I'm really seeing, how much misinformation there is in exercise and health, and the strength training. You were always very flexible in adjustments, which was really cool to see, because there were some kind of aspects where I'm like, man, I really don't like showing up. It's not my natural body group that I'm gonna.
Yeah, so most of my clients are software engineers, and so we have to fit training and nutrition to their lifestyle, a busy sedentary lifestyle. Secondly, we have to fit it into preferences and where you're starting. There's no such thing as a real true beginner and a true advanced lifter. You're going to find that certain movement patterns, your anthropometry and just your genetics are going to allow you to get exponentially stronger in certain areas and a little bit weaker in other areas, and we need to adjust the training to accommodate for that. And so, for example, if we were to look at my training, I can do weighted one arm chin ups. In that area, I'm elite, and that's not to brag or anything, but it's just a fact. But if you looked to my pistol squat, it's nowhere near as good. And that's something you have to recognize, that your training has to accommodate for that.
Feel confident in, but the way you structured everything and you flexed it made a lot of sense to me. So I could see progress in things that I was already strong at, but then I was progressing in things that I wasn't strong at all. Which, when I first started assisted dips, I was like, oh man, is this ever going to happen? I'm throwing weight even on this, and then to be able to throw a backpack on and start adding weight to that is absolutely huge.
What you'll notice is the exercise he talks about, Bulgarian split squats, dips. The exercise selection is purposeful. We don't want to be trying to progress a bench press while you're trying to lose copious amounts of fat, because progression is necessary for you to improve your metabolism. So when you do lose fat, you look better and you are able to maintain your leanness. And so we want to utilize exercises which have a low injury risk, but also are going to allow us to progress much faster and build more muscle during the fat loss process, because you absolutely can. And so we need to progress the signal to the body to make adjustments. And I offer a guarantee for my clients because I'm so sure that we're going to be able to do it, which is why he's able to get to weighted dips so quickly in this journey. Again, this is only 3 months in. He's 165 now. This is 30 pounds later.
And while it is difficult, I've seen a lot of progression areas I just didn't think would happen at all, especially the free weights. I mean, the importance of free weights and prioritizing that over machines when you can, it just adds a entirely new dimension, and it's very helpful.
Yeah, so again, this is contextual. You'll see a large thing about bodybuilders talking about utilizing machines, but we're not bodybuilding. We're trying to build muscle as we lose fat, copious amounts of fat. And so injury risk is something that we need to prevent, and we need to build stability in the joints. And you'll often hear people say, who train the way I train, they'll say things like stabilizer muscles, and it's not that, it's the stability of the muscle that we're trying to improve. And if you are a beginner, you need to build an incredible foundation that we can build upon, and then when you go to the machines in the future, if you want to do machines, you are going to be automatically much stronger at them. And rather than starting with the machines and never developing the stability to train in the way which is going to be optimal for you to lose fat.
For Bulgarian split squats, I couldn't even get the form down at first. It was a very, very challenging form, and it felt like I was just so far from it. But every week you kind of gave me an adjustment where I could incrementally improve, and I got the form form down. I still have to correct myself every now and then, but it's pretty wild to feel the weight change. I think I started like, weightless or maybe just 20 pounds to start. And yeah, I can hack 50 pounds, which is pretty sweet in each hand. So,
Yeah, so again, we build an incredible foundation, and we do that in the coaching process where I teach you to understand the mechanics of what you're doing so that you can make incredible progressions and then not have issues later on down the line that cause you to not be able to improve anymore or have to regress your technique. This is what most people are not doing. It's lazy, they don't understand how to do it.
oh, that's great. So you've been absolutely great in working with me on the craziness of my schedule. If I'm playing 3, 4 hour gigs that weekend, you've always checked up on me. Like over the weekend, you've been like, "How are things going?" Always a line that I know I could reach out to, or ask like, "I'm getting sick. What should I do?"
Yeah, so a couple of things to digest there. Oftentimes, clients have hobbies and they have side gigs. They have so Chris was a drummer, for example. They have family commitments which are difficult, and it makes fat loss difficult. This is part of the coaching process. This is why it's one to one, so we can navigate these issues, come up with plans and backup plans, so you can still achieve your goals. It's all well and good, just turning off the rest of your life to lose fat and build muscle. But if you need to be able to do it during the chaos, can you do it while you're moving house? Can you do it? I know, terrible to say, but during a divorce, can you do it in the worst possible conditions? Because then you've got future success.
I can be fairly hard on myself, so
Oh, and also, with the coaching process being one to one, it means that we can solve the issues which come up immediately. One of the things I want to prevent for a lot of people is getting ill. So many people will get colds and things like that that just derail their progress. This is another reason why clients typically lose 2 to 3 pounds a week consistently, rather than like 0.5 to 1 pounds per week, which is more like the average, because we prevent the big issues which cause injuries, which illnesses, things like that occur during the fat loss phase, because people just go, do more, eat less.
I'm trying to avoid all excuses, and you even give me a good advice on differentiating an excuse between a reason. That's been very helpful. So, yeah, it's been good working this program into my life for sure.
A large part of the coaching process is recognizing how much of this is hormonal, how much of it's organizational, how much of it is just structural, like your actual approach to train nutrition and sleep and things like that. But more so than anything, it's behavioral. That's why it's one to one. That's why I don't do like huge group coaching, because you can't guarantee results with that. But if we can look to change behavior over a longer period of time, then um, you're going to be able to predict results long term. And that's why even after he finished 6 months with me, he's over 50 pounds down.
It definitely seems doable and sustainable. Very fortunate to have something that feels attainable and that feels like I'm making progress. It's good to hammer the same points home sometimes, which is funny that sometimes I'm averse to that being a programmer because it's all about redundancy. But I don't know, maybe that's a creative side of me. Yeah, no, everything's been great. You explain everything really well. You're just a fountain of knowledge, so it's like you can go off on a tangent and be like, all right, I skipped that part of health class, so maybe I should probably take some time and study.
And the funny thing is, after the first 3 weeks, he did actually dive deep into the topics. The reason I do that is because I like to be able to know why they're doing what they're doing. Some people don't need that. Some people need marching orders, and so the calls can be shorter. But for people who need to know why they're doing what they're doing, and to be challenged on their current beliefs or what their families told them about health and fitness or what they've seen on the internet, we can have that back and forth, and we can discuss the literature until we get to an agreement. But yeah, that's why it's so important to know, to believe in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to take action on it.
And I guess my only small critique would be is that you have so much knowledge, you can tie everything together. I can't exactly see all of the moving parts the way that you do. So generally, what I'm taking at is your word, because I feel your sense of integrity and drive and your passion and your knowledge for sure. When you start kind of talking about like food and nutrition mechanics, it's a little overwhelming because I don't really have anything to base it on. You know, whether we're talking like mono or disaccharides, you know, it's like I remember the terms and stuff, but yeah, it's like unless I actually take the time to study that part of health class, it is something that I'm just gonna kind of be like, I'll take your word, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really beneficial when it goes the other way too.
Some people need to hear it multiple times, and it's important because as humans, it's the way that we are. We don't need telling, we need reminding. And um, in order to change a habit, it's not just I've decided it's got to be drilled in as much as the old habits were drilled in.
Because I'll ask you, you know, am I missing anything by not having green peppers? Or am I really missing anything by not having yogurt? I never thought in my life I'd start eating yogurt, but because it just feels like disappointing ice cream. You know what I mean? Like I do feel like there is something there to just be maintaining gut health more, being.
Yeah, so for anyone who's stayed this long, you're going to get a little nugget here. If you can improve your gut health by consuming fermented foods, which is going to have more good gut bacteria, that is going to help to regulate serotonin because it's actually largely produced in the gut. And if you feel more satisfied, remember, people take serotonin reuptake inhibitors to feel better. And so you can actually largely control that naturally. And that's not advice to stop taking it. Um, that's advice to start improving your gut health because your natural mood will begin to improve. And instead of having this just be disciplined mentality, which is awful, you're going to be able to be incentivized naturally to take the right actions, build momentum, and it's going to be very difficult to undo that. And so, yeah, this is Christopher's results for the first 3 months. You can go to Instagram, you can go to LinkedIn to see all the stuff. And yeah, free school group. It's free at the moment. So get in now while it is. And I'll be sharing some good advice on there. And if you want to inquire about one-to-one coaching, then if it's open, I'll be messaging you. Just join the group.